The 9th season of American Ninja Warrior might be over, but we are not done yet. We are teaming up with other ANW superfans like Taryn and Lita from Rob Has a Podcast and Travis from ANW Fantasy to bring you the first ever Ninja Awards. Stay tuned for more details. Coming to you from sunny California and the Great White North. Get ready. We are breaking down the obstacles on the Armchair Ninja Podcast. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Armchair Ninja Podcast. It is Friday, September 22nd, 2017. My name is Rich, and here to join me for the ANW9 season finale is Bijan. How you making out?
I'm excited, man. We're here. We are here. What a fantastic finale. Wow. Like, I don't know about y'all, but no way in all heck was I expecting the three people that made it to the stage 3. Dude, there is so much to talk about. Just, I can't even begin to describe the craziness that was stage 2 this whole season. I mean, that was so far from what I was expecting.
It wasn't that far from, I mean, really, 2 of the 3 I predicted, which reminds me, just one second.
Boo! Boo!
You know you had that coming.
Boo this man. Everybody at home, boo this man.
Oh, AEW Fantasy. I did not win, to be clear. I did actually got tied for 13th, and Bijan tied for 73rd, which
Ain't nobody
is pretty
counting.
good for 321 entries. I think that's pretty good.
Just remember, y'all, Team Ninja Warrior, still champ.
That is true. That is true. But we have another season coming up, thankfully.
Moving on.
Moving on. So it was an awesome season. I loved the finale. I think there's a lot of people that didn't,
Really?
from what I've seen.
Really? How could, like, I'm really curious. Is it just because of that one obstacle? This is the thing. As long as it's an obstacle that is fair, that's not like some crappy BS like trampoline situation, I am all good with it. I know it took out a lot of the field, but I really have no issues with that wing nut obstacle. It was awesome.
I think it was a little overtuned. I think it was a little harder than it needed to be. But at the same time, I loved it too. I thought it was a very cool obstacle. I enjoyed watching it. I didn't have a problem with the episode overall at all.
Yeah, and people say that about the cliffhanger and all these different obstacles. Like, remember in earlier seasons, the salmon ladder was like this daunting thing, the warped wall. Oh God, how are people going to get past it?
So in this episode, we're going to be covering the ANW season finale, obviously. We're also going to talk a little bit about the ANW Super Fan Awards because we lack a better name at this point, as you may have heard during our little pre-roll session there.
Name pending. I think we're going to get something better, y'all.
Yes, let's hope. And yeah, so let's get into it here. Let's talk about overall the course. We did talk a little bit about Wingnut Alley here, but overall, I thought Stage 2 was pretty good. It seemed short to me at first until I saw them running it, and I thought it was actually a perfect length.
I think it was the same length as previous seasons. I think some people might be switched up just because Wingnut Alley did take the place of whatever that spinning, that awful obstacle that I hated, butterfly wall or something like that, right? Like, this is so much better than that. In many ways, the wall flip is still, I don't know how you feel about the wall flip, man, but if there's any, like, small part of Stage 2 that I don't care about, it's the wall flip.
That's the lamest obstacle ever. Like, I get it. I didn't like the wall lift any better. I think the wall flip is better. But overall, it's just kind of a lame non-obstacle. I mean, I get it. I wouldn't want to lift those stupid walls either. But at the same time, it's boring to watch. Nobody cares about it.
It's just a time deterrent. But I will say, the people that did make it to that point, they had some fun with that. We'll get to there.
Najee made it really cool somehow.
Yeah. So going through it, though, the giant ring swing, I'm a big fan of it. I'm glad it's back. I really enjoy the fact that it's kind of like the Tarzan ropes from previous seasons, where if you know how to do it, you're good. But if you don't, or something, there's a mild hiccup, you can really zap a lot of time. In many ways, it reminds me of Parkour Run from Stage 1, man. So I really like that. Some people make it look easy, but if you don't, it's going to be tricky.
Yeah, I would actually be cool with them simplifying that first obstacle a little bit. I like the Tarzan ropes, and even if the Tarzan ropes were simpler, I want to see just about everybody get to the salmon ladder at least.
Dude, it's stage 2, man. Gotta go ham on this.
Yeah, I don't want to see anybody fail in the first obstacle stage 2. I don't know why. I just want to see them go a little deeper than that.
I'm okay with it because of the main fact that for some, like, I don't know if you notice this, they gave them 4 minutes to complete this stage. That's really high, and I think that's really good by the fact that it's not an insane pace where you can take your time. Like, the time is still a factor, but it's not as overall deterrent. And I really appreciate the fact that they have 4 whole minutes to get through this giant beast of a stage. Now, I really also like this crisscross salmon ladder straight into the wave runner. 2 obstacles that really zap the arm strength. Now, I've done the transitions with the crisscross salmon ladder before, and I must say, doing that swing and catching yourself on that salmon ladder zaps so much forearm and grip strength. I mean, it is insane. Having to do that twice and doing the ascension of the salmon ladder also, I really, really like that fact that they have that there.
Yeah, that's good. That's really an interesting way to kind of add some spice to an obstacle we all expect on stage 2, right? I wouldn't want them to get rid of it, but varying it up is definitely a good idea.
Yeah. Now, if there is one dud, though, Swing Surfer, I get it. Like, it's neat. They need 1 jumping obstacle every stage 2, apparently. I don't really care for it. It reminds me a lot of Butterfly Wall, where it's just like, do we really need that?
I was kind of thinking TikTok. It reminded me a lot of it.
Yeah, that too.
I like Swing Surfer. I wouldn't want it as a major obstacle in the way, but for its purpose in where it fits in the course, I think it's a good obstacle. It took out Ian Dory. I mean, really.
Yeah, that surprised me. It's fine, I guess. It's nothing that stands out to me in the same way as its compatriots in stage 2.
Wingnut Alley needs no introduction. That thing is crazy, and
I love so much. I love this obstacle so much, y'all.
I think it's a little too. I mean, 3 would be great. I think 3 would be a good test, and we would have got a better, more representative field instead of this craziness that we ended up with.
Dude, this is the thing. I think next year we're definitely going to see this again, and I think we're going to get a lot more people completing it. It's just a basis where unless you were able to do this obstacle in the qualifiers, this is your first time dealing with this, and the transitions, the gaps between it is so huge. So for a lot of people, it's their first time dealing with this. I have a feeling we're going to see many people training on this in a lot of gyms. We've already seen in local competitions, Rich, that they have wingnuts. So I definitely think we're going to see this again, and I think we're going to see a lot more people completing it.
I think it could very well become a hallmark of the show. It's a fantastic obstacle.
Visually,
I love,
right? Just everything.
Visually, it's cool. It tests something that they're not usually used to doing, right? You don't normally transition in that kind of way. It's kind of cliffhanger-ish, but it kind of combines some other elements in a way that nobody's really used to. You really have to adapt to it. I love it. I think it's a very fantastic, subtle obstacle. I think it's going to be around for a while.
Yeah, in many ways, every stage has the big test obstacle, like the Ninja Killer. In stage 1, it's the Warped Wall. Stage 2, now it could be the Wingnut Alley. Stage 3, obviously, it's the Cliffhanger, you know? Like, there are people that can complete them, but when you're talking about the big one that you have to train for hardcore, this can now be that for stage 2. And I think that was lacking in previous seasons with stage 2. I mean, maybe we could, like, what was that name of that obstacle, man? That was, like, so insanely hard that Bryan Arnold could never get through.
The wedge?
The wedge, you know. I kind of thought that the wedge was going to be that for stage 2. But this, in many ways, would you rather have the wedge or this? I will very much take this over the wedge. So I'm all for it.
One thing that wasn't obvious to me at first, and it wasn't about halfway through that I realized that the last wingnut actually rotates. So it's not like
really
they catch it and it's lined up perfectly with the landing pad. I think it was when Flip missed it. I'm not sure who it was, but someone that missed it, I was like, well, how, if it's lined up, why did they miss? And then I realized that the whole thing rotates. So they really need to adjust on the fly and try to make that whole thing swing.
I had no idea. when getting to the final obstacle, I thought people were just like completely worn out and everything, but it makes sense by the fact that they have to completely correct themselves and aim for that final platform. Because, you know, I don't know the stats of how many people failed doing that final transition, but it was quite a few of the top ninjas that failed right there. That makes a whole lot more sense. Good find, dude.
So that makes it 10 times harder, really.
Mm-hmm. And I love it. Some of y'all are gonna hate it. I love it. Let me know how you guys feel really on Twitter and Instagram, because like this is stuff I'm really curious of the feedback of.
Yeah, so let's get into the runs. I mean, we've got so many good runs this episode.
Mm-hmm. So many skipped runs too.
We had a lot of skipped runs, and it's weird. I feel like they put together this whole season around like, you know, half a dozen to or so ninjas. They didn't really do the variety they normally do. They wanted to follow someone from qualifier to finals to stage 1, stage 2. Normally they kind of mix and match, but they really kind of followed a few core people. As
a show, I get it, and it will make it better for the audience. But as a sport and as a diehard, I really don't like that factor. It's I understand, but I don't agree with it. It's the best way to put it.
Nope. I don't agree with it at all. I think it's better to have the variety. We all have favorites. We all understand that everyone can't be featured every episode. I think it's much better to feature, you know, stagger them a little bit. You have your core ones. They're going to feature Megan Martin in every episode they ever air with it. She's in it. I get that. And I'm cool with that. I love Megan. But there's certain athletes that they're going to feature every single time they take the course. And there's some that they're going to do every second episode, which is what I prefer. I don't like this whole skipping, you know, Ryan Stratus for the whole stupid season. We'll get to that. I'll rant about that again later. But let's actually talk about Ian Dory's run. Let's actually get into this episode because we were taking forever to get to the point here.
Let's do it.
Ian Dory takes the course. Immediately, I'm like, oh, Bijan's ANW fantasy is screwed.
I throw up my arms. I'm like, it's over. It's done.
It's not a good sign when someone takes the course right off the bat. So he immediately gets uneven on the salmon ladder, which isn't a good sign. He's kind of going slow, I thought, through the beginning of it. But he did beat the wave runner. I was really worried him through the first half of the course when they show the first runner. And he ended up going out in the swing server. Only 1 foot ended up hitting that pad, which I thought looked like an easy obstacle, as I think you were kind of alluding to. It doesn't look like a very, very challenging obstacle. But it took out Ian Dory, so I immediately was like, well, I'm going to watch that obstacle.
I mean, I don't know. Sometimes just things happen. It just sucks. Ian Dory's way better than that. He is. And I definitely hope this doesn't deter him in his training. Because obviously you can see he's got a lot going on in his life. But yeah, I still don't regret like choosing him or whatever. Ian Dory's still a guy that's going to be at the top of the sport for a long time.
Yeah, Ian's fantastic. And as I said, he was one of the guys you're expecting to take it down. I seriously thought he was going to this season. Either him, my money was on him or Josh Levin, to be honest. And of course, Drew. Everybody was looking at Drew this season. So. Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of glad that became a storyline. We'll get to it, but that was neat.
Yeah, there was a lot of misdirection in this overall season. Next to take the course was Lance Pekus.
That shocked me. This early in the episode, we get Lance Pekus. I mean, like, wow, they're sending out all the names. But Lance Pekus was such a foundation this entire season. I mean, he got the prime spot in the finals and the qualifiers for his city. And then he got, like, that big storyline with his wife. And obviously, it's a terrible story, but, like, I don't know. I was expecting him to be, like, one of the final runs.
Yeah, I wasn't sure. When I saw him early on, I thought, okay, so I guess he doesn't make it past stage 2. I was kind of expecting more or less what we got, I guess.
He looked good, though, man.
Oh, he looked amazing, actually. I say that. He looked, like, really strong through this whole season, but especially stage 2, right up to the point of him falling. He actually looked really, really strong.
Yeah, I think his new training regimen, because you said he lost some weight, but focusing on agility and things like that, probably Spartan races and stuff. This guy looks amazing. He's really done a complete 180 these past 2 years in his training and how he approaches this course. Because if you guys remember, he was kind of like just the cowboy, and he was like this giant yoked dude. But now, I mean, he's still really big, like muscular, but he's got that agility for days, and I was really impressed by how well he can maintain his endurance doing all these physical feats. I mean, good on you, Lance Pekus. in my opinion, he's no longer just a cowboy dude. This is like really high level stuff.
Yeah, he is definitely one of the better competitors. That being said, he gave us our first look at the wing nut, and I realized that obstacle is going to be extremely hard. And I think I know how we're not going to have dozens of people on stage 3 now.
Yeah, it's weird because when they first previewed it, it just looked like a wing nut. I didn't even think two things of it. But when I saw him fly and do that transition, I realized, oh no, they're crazy. This thing is got some huge gaps. I don't know between the first and the second, but I know the final transition is 12 feet. I mean, that is insane, y'all.
I think it's 12 feet between all of them. They were talking about the 12-foot gap between those two, yeah.
That's like the length from one end of my apartment to the other in terms of like the living room. That's some crazy stuff.
Yeah, it was a great run, a great season for Lance Pekus. We're very excited to see him again next year. He did a fantastic job.
Yeah, and I wish his wife all the best.
Yeah, and I'd actually love to have Lance on the show sometime. We'll have to take a look and see if we can make that happen.
Definitely.
So then we had some fast forwards, including Tyler Yamauchi, which I was a little sad to see happening. I'm like, oh, no, don't fast forward, Tyler. That is not a good sign. He ended up going on the second wing nut, too. But he had a great season. Glad he got some love, and glad he did so well in the final, and that he joined us on the podcast. It was a very cool guy. Very happy for him to do so well.
Yeah, shout out to Tyler, and in many ways, I'm really happy that he was able to... Like, it's weird. What I've learned this season is a lot of these smaller competitors might have like a leg up on these big transition obstacles. I actually think Tyler can do quite well on those wing nuts. So he's somebody to keep an eye out for next year. I think he's going to be one of the few that actually completes that next year.
Yeah, Tyler's got everything he needs to move on. I'm really excited to see how he can do going forward. Like you said, like the smaller stature seems to be an advantage once you can get past those very reach-dependent obstacles like the warp wall. Once you can do that and the jumping spider, you're kind of laughing.
Yeah, it's kind of like throwing a baseball out in the air, you know? Like, I don't know how to describe it better. Small little cannonball.
Next I think the course was Brent Stephenson. I was actually really curious to hear what you thought of this segment at the beginning of this, because I saw a lot of people that absolutely loved it. Well, I say loved it, but a lot of people are very, very upset about the whole Mr. Mowgli thing.
Yeah.
I'm very supportive.
I really liked this storyline. The vignette was definitely much needed. I didn't mind it at all. And I don't know, it hit me. And I think it's one of those things, just like Lance Pekus' wife and a lot of these other figures that we've seen in previous seasons, Mr. Mowgli was a foundation in the storyline and the relationship of Brent Stephenson and Casey Catanzaro. I don't know, man. It definitely hit home. Nobody wants to see a dog pass like that.
Yeah, I felt bad for Brent and Casey. I thought that, the T-shirts were a nice touch, and the fact that he's been a part of their runs for all these years, it's nice for them to kind of respect him in that way, and that they're raising proceeds from selling the shirts to go to a non-kill shelter. So if you wanted to buy their shirts, that's a great way to help support that cause. So Brent took the course. He had a little trouble in the dismount of the ring swing. A lot of trouble, I think.
Mm-hmm. He
was going a lot side to side, and he ended up going out in the wave runner in the end. But yeah, it was nice to see Brent get some love this season.
Yeah,
he's been neglected for a couple of seasons, so it's good to see him back.
In many ways, it's how Stephenson got his groove back. I mean, this season, he definitely stepped up his game. Even though he went out on stage 2, he did admirably. And these past 2 years, he's had a rough time. So I'm really glad to see him back at the, relatively at the top of his game. And it was weird, though. The way he fell and everything was kind of anticlimactic. I mean, it was kind of like, what just happened? But at the same time, as a whole, this entire season, Brent Stephenson did fantastic. So I'm really happy for the guy, because he's such a good guy in real life.
So this was followed by a long string of fast forwards, and I feel like with stage 2, everybody's going to kind of get their props here. So
this, before you go on though,
sure,
I'm just curious how you felt. Did you feel like maybe they could have split this up into 2 episodes? Because I see both sides of it, but there are 40 competitors competing, so it's like I kind of felt like they could have split this up between 2 episodes. It might have been a little too bloated or flushed out, maybe, but I don't know.
1000% yes. I actually would have preferred, and I get that they have certain time slots, and maybe, they only are slotted for 3 episodes for Vegas, maybe.
They filmed this far before this show went on air. So in NBC, this is one of the NBC's biggest shows. You're telling me that NBC can't give them another extra week? Like, next week, if we look up the time slots, I bet you it was nothing in that time slot. I'm fairly certain, NBC would have been more than happy to give them an extra week.
Nah, I don't know about that. But even if they weren't, I would rather see them compress stage 1 down to 1 week, give stage 2 week. Well, maybe not.
No.
Yeah.
No.
I think they could have divided it up a little better, at least.
Yeah. That said, I'm still relatively happy with what we got. Yeah, there were a lot of names fast-forwarded, but we did get some good runs.
Yeah, I just don't like some of the choices on who get fast-forwarded. I've seen a lot of these people run recently. I really missed out on a few people that I wanted to see this season.
I feel you.
Speaking of, so we got a ton of fast forwards here. Let's talk about Eric Middleton and Nick Kostreski both going out in the Wave Runner. Hunter Gerard going out in Wingnut Alley. And Ryan Stratus spent more than a minute on the ring spin before going out.
That's rough.
Thank you, Brandon Levine, or Levine, I'm not sure which, for pointing out that every run of Ryan Stratus this year was fast-forwarded, which I did not notice.
Shame! That's crazy.
Ridiculous. You can't do that to Ryan Stratus. That's not fair at all. Tyler Gillette ended up going out in the Wave Runner. He got fast-forwarded as well.
That shocked
as well
me. I mean...
Travis Rosen, too.
Oof.
Third wingnut. He actually ended up going out. Like, how many, fast-forward?
Not just that. I mean, these are names, predominant names from the season. I get it if you're skipping people that don't have a story like you alluded to earlier, but like Tyler Gillette's had an amazing story, almost a Cinderella story of this entire season, and all of a sudden it comes crashing in and it's like, oh yeah, Tyler Gillette, the person we've been hyping up, he just fell. Moving on. It's weird. It's so anticlimactic in terms of a storyline of the entire season, man.
I don't know. They have one episode. There's only so many people they can feature. I get it to some extent.
Especially if they're all failing at the same obstacle. I get
that's the
that,
killer.
But
that's what really does it. We had so many, 41 finishers. That is ridiculous. You can't feature them all. You can't even feature them all as fast forwards with that many people. So I know there's got to be cuts. It's just, yeah. But who wasn't cut was Jamie Rahn, Captain NBC, took the course next.
He was the first one that I was almost certain would complete Wingnut Alley. Just because this past year, Team Ninja Warrior and ANW, he has looked so freaking good. And we know how much he trains at his gym and everything. I mean, I was 100% certain. I'm like, this is the guy that's going to do it.
Yeah. Yep. I was on board. I was like, okay, this is about the time we're going to start getting some finishers. Jamie Rahn's taking the course. And then you start watching him go through, interesting segment from...
That was kind of random, his storyline. Like, it was cool and all, but it was kind of random out of nowhere. Because in the finals is where you traditionally get more of, this is my training, this is what I've been leading up to. Like, I thought we were going to get more of his background from previous season and everything. But out of nowhere, we get this random storyline where they kind of just throw it out there like, hey, I suffer from these crazy migraines and blah, 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 all this stuff. And I'm just like, where is this coming from? I don't know. I found it very random.
A little bit, I guess. It could have used a little more detail, but at the same time, I don't want at stage 2, man. Like, give me 30 seconds, give me 20, 30 seconds of someone's backstory, a little bit more, maybe a little more flavor to remind us of who they are and what they're about.
You need Jamie Rahn to
I don't need that for Jamie. I don't need that for anybody on this taking this course, to be honest. But I know that the average viewer isn't necessarily going to remember everybody. Jamie Rahn's hair makes him stand out enough that most people remember who he is.
Not to mention, he's one of the few that's competed on every season.
Yeah. I mean, the extreme casual fan even will remember. He really stands out. Anyway, he was looking like really strong in the course. He pauses to take a little, do a little flex at the swing surfer.
He looked great, dude.
Yeah, he hit his back on the rope grab, but he seemed fine afterwards.
Okay, that looked scary. We need to talk about that. I don't care how much he's trying to hide it. That must have hurt him bad. I screamed. I was like, ooh. Dude, I mean, dangerous, dude, but that was a big, big slam.
I called my youngest. Actually, I just realized as I'm reading my notes here, this is the run that I called my youngest over to look. I'm like, because she doesn't watch the show, I can't get her into it. I keep trying, and I'm like, come look at this. Like, you have to see this run. And his one-handed save on the third wingnut was epic. It was so amazing. I was so excited.
It was crazy, dude. I mean, he was literally one-handed doing it. And he was able to correct himself. And that takes not only so much grip strength, but it really, in many ways, it takes a lot of determination and heart. I mean, most people would have let go at that moment. So props to this guy. He really gutted out a lot of this run. And in many ways, in failing, he boosted up just how good he is. I mean, this is one of the runs where people will remember it. So major props to Jamie Rahn. Really respect.
Yeah, he was the first one we saw to actually get onto that last wingnut, the fourth wingnut, but he missed the 12-foot dismount, unfortunately. It was just too far. His, awkward angle, trying to keep that thing. I don't know what part of it tripped him up, but he did a fantastic job. Proved that he's one of the top ninjas in spite of falling there, and we'll see him again next year.
Mm-hmm.
So in the next string of fast forwards, we had Nick Hansen, who ended up going out on the salmon ladder. He was just worn out from some trouble he had on the rings. Sean Darling Hammond was fast forwarded, who went out on the second wingnut, and John Alexis Jr. got fast forwarded, who also fell on the second wingnut.
Yeah, it sucks to see them all go, but I honestly didn't see many of them completing stage 2. Maybe John Alexis Jr., but those wingnuts are going to be really hard for somebody his size.
Yeah, I don't know how much of that cancels out, right? The reach would seem to be an advantage, but at the same time, that's a long time and a lot of swinging.
I don't think the reach matters on that obstacle, though, man. It's much more about the transition.
Maybe, but I would think you would be able to cushion it more with that extra reach to... But I have no idea what the heck I'm talking about. I mean, anybody that's listening to this for any length of time knows I don't know what the heck I'm talking about, but... To me, I would think with the longer arms, you could cushion that.
Can break the fall, yeah.
Break the fall more, I guess, yeah. But who knows? Probably half of you listening right now can correct me.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't done it yet. I don't
know. So, next to take the course and get a full feature was Sean Bryan, the Paddle Ninja, who will remain in the iconic echelons of ninja from now on because he has completed this run and gone into stage 3 and proved that he is not to be overlooked.
Yeah, it's interesting. This was another breakout star performing year for this guy. He really came out of the scene on Team Ninja Warrior. And correct me if I'm wrong, Rich, but like this guy was a replacement on Team Ninja Warrior, right?
He was.
Yeah.
And he really surprised us in that. And then he goes on to the city finals and does amazing there and cemented it now with this performance. This dude is someone to watch.
Yeah, he's no longer being overlooked, and I'm really glad he got some shine with that storyline. I think he represents a dynamic or demographic that not a lot of people get. It's kind of a sore subject, touchy subject, religion and all, but there are a lot of religious people out there, and I'm glad that this guy hardcore represents that. I mean, Daniel Gill also is, very religious, and nobody wants somebody that's preaching, right, to the audience. I mean, I sure don't. But I like the fact that he doesn't do that. He's just like, I'm a religious guy. I do all this really cool stuff for my community, and I'm also going to compete on American Ninja Warrior. And it's one of those rarities that you just don't see very often on reality TV shows. I mean, you're not going to see somebody like this on the real world or something. So it's really cool to see that. And dude, this guy was really legit. I mean, I knew he was good, but man, how he got through those wingnuts and just gutted out everything, it was really, really engrossing.
Yeah, he's really good. He's very, he's engrossing is a good word. Like, he's got the personality on top of everything else. Dude, his arms are massive. Akbar even calls him out at one point in the run.
Yeah, I noticed that.
I had a really good feeling about his run as he took the course, and like, this guy is one we've been watching, and I had a really good feeling. He ended up landing on his butt, but that was good enough. Just landing on your butt is landing, so he was able to beat the whole stage 2. The first one to do it, he had 15 seconds left, so it wasn't even a time crunch. He did a great job.
Yeah, I thoroughly loved this run. He showed a lot of heart. He really had to gut it out. This wasn't an easy situation or stage for him. He really had to give it his all. And just huge congratulations. I mean, wow, what a run.
So in the next string of fast forwards, we had Mike Bernardo, who missed the swing surfer, unfortunately. Drew Knopp, who went out on the second wingnut, and Abel Gonzalez, who went out on the third wingnut. I almost feel like the wingnuts almost deserve to be like the first two are one obstacle and the second two are another obstacle, because like it's just so much to get through that wingnut alley. It's just a crazy, crazy obstacle.
And it's so good. I love it.
But the next ninja to take the course was Adam Rayl.
Dude.
Oh, God, that guy is so good.
I mean, going into this, especially by the fact that we just saw somebody complete Stage 2, I was so confident he was going to do well. This guy has just been amazing in the regional circuit and also on the show. And they've been hyping him up. I'm really glad, if you notice this. In many ways with the editing, they're positioning various different athletes that are younger in much more bigger lights. They're definitely like figuring out who's the next generation of kind of like all-stars in American Ninja Warrior, and definitely giving them that promo time. And I'm really glad they did that with Adam Rayl, because they could have easily made him be like the next Nicholas Coolidge. And I hate saying that, but it's true, you know? So I'm really, really glad that he's part of it, because I think this guy is going to be a star within the next like 2 years. Dude's only 23.
Yeah. Adam is primed to stand head and shoulders above everybody. So we'll watch him for sure. So he went out on the Wave Runner last year as a walk-on. Adam Rayl was a walk-on last year. Oh
Crazy.
My God. But he was able to beat it this year. I love his mom and aunt are like the most entertaining sideline of anyone. Next to maybe the kid that, Janique's son doing backflips. These two are amazing to watch.
Yeah, they were entertaining, being so nervous and everything, especially the aunt.
He made it to the last wingnut and his grip just gave out on the dismount. I thought he had it. I was so convinced he had that.
Me too, man. That was rough. And I don't know, it's tough, because it's one thing to fail halfway through an obstacle, but it's the final part. And he already made a transition. You literally just have to swing from the wingnut to the platform. But as you alluded to, Rich, it's way more harder than it even looks with the free axis spinning and everything. It's a lot harder. Like on TV, it just looks like, hey, you're on the final one, just swing over. But it's not that simple. And, oh, it sucks, dude. It really sucks, because you just know this guy would have been beast moding Stage 3.
Yeah, I really wanted more people on Stage 3 this year. I was really disappointed we only got 3 in the end. But, yeah,
I'm okay with it.
We'll get to that. So we had some fast forwards, including Josh Salinas, who went on the third wingnut, Jody Avila, also on the third, Andrew Lowe's, go figure, fast forwarded on the second wingnut.
Shame!
And Bryan freaking Arnold gets fast forwarded.
That's crazy.
Out on the third wingnut.
That is crazy. Think about this, y'all. Bryan Arnold, the guy that made it furthest than anybody else, I think like 3 seasons ago. Bryan Arnold, who's been at the top of the sport for many, many years now. One of the major figures in the entire sport, doing the Wolfpack Ninja Tour, part of the group that founded the ultimate winner, blah, 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 Isaac Caldiero and everything. Like, this guy is such a predominant figure in the sport, and they skip him. That's crazy to me.
Yeah, I don't know what to say about it. It sucks. But what doesn't suck is, and that's the thing, like, it always gets tempered, right? You're like, oh my God, how could they skip him? Oh, Najee Richardson's taking the course. Like, immediately, like, get into the mode of, like, oh, right, my favorite guy is taking the course. So, I don't know. How do you blame them, I guess? They did a little segment on Najee's great-grandmother passing away this year, which was, I feel bad for Najee. But again, I don't know. They need to, you know what? Once we're past Stage 1, we don't need segments anymore. Just show us, get people through the course. We want to see more people.
Yeah, that's a good point. Honestly, if you're at this point in the season, you already know these people.
You should. And if you
it's not like people are going up and being like, who's Najee Richardson? And even if they are, hearing a story about his grandmother passing isn't going to make you know him any better. It's very unfortunate. It definitely should be a story's told, but I don't think it needs to be put in this final episode.
Yeah, I'm gonna make a blanket statement and say that, you know what, any segments in this episode weren't needed, should have been featured last week, should have been featured in other episodes. I just don't think stage 2 is the time to be showing segments.
Mm-hmm. Good point. So, but onto the run itself, I mean, you know what? Why don't you go first? Well, let's hear. You picked him and everything. Let's hear what your thoughts were.
I was very excited to see Najee. I was nervous this whole run. This was my first. I mean, we're a good chunk into the episode, but this is the first person from my ANW fantasy team taking the line. So I'm like, okay, let's see how he does. And he starts going all crazy in the salmon ladder. I'm like, what? Wait, I guess he's comfortable. What is he doing? I couldn't quite figure. He went backwards up one side of it. Then he was, I don't know. It was good. He ended up beating it. So, there's a big sigh of relief. Like, with all that time left, you're like, the wall flip's nothing. And he just starts kicking the walls, right? He's just like, such attitude. He's just like, bam, like, yes, I'm hitting that buzzer. It is done. And it was awesome. I loved every minute of it.
Yeah, this was so entertaining to me. Najee Richardson, wow, what a specimen of an athlete, first of all. But the way he attacked this course, he did it with such swag, such excitement, such vigor in many ways. I mean, this guy just attacked this course. It was so entertaining. But not just that, you were there with him. At this point in the episode, there was this buildup of just so many people failing. Yeah, we got one person completing the course, but there was so much heartbreak going on in this episode. And seeing Najee, this really outgoing, positive person, just attack this course in that way, I really appreciated it. The way he did Wingnut Alley, I mean, was just insane. He was so good, so picture perfect. And then we saw him get past it, and he damn near kicked that wall flip. As you said, like, he was so excited. He was just like, yes, let's go. And it was so cool because you were right there with him, cheering him along the whole way. So entertaining. Najee Richardson, congratulations. You're tied for Athletically Profound Run of the Night. Congratulations, man. This was so dope.
Do you know what my favorite part was, though? Do you know what the best part of this whole run was?
What's up?
It was the Palm Run of the Night.
Oh, yeah.
I was so excited. I'm like, yes, the rest of the field, the rest of the night is a surprise. I have no idea what's going to happen. I can sit back and enjoy. I don't know if Drew's going to make it. I don't know if Thomas and Nicholas and Flip and like a billion other people to take the course. I have no idea how the rest of the night's going to go because it's out of the way. Fantastic. Middle of the episode, best time to give it away.
Couldn't say it better myself, man. Good point. I mean, perfect timing for it. And a great run to choose it, too.
Yeah, great run. Because then it's just wide open. Who knows what happens from now on. Then we had a fast forward of Josh Levin. I was like beside myself. Like, Josh Levin, I thought he was beating stage 4 this year. I seriously did.
Dude, same. I mean, just when you saw him fast forwarded, you knew it was up, and it's just crazy to me. They build up this guy so much, and then they just fast forward him in the final moment. I mean, I don't know.
Oh, actually, you know what?
We've already spoken to it, but
yeah.
I will say I'm really happy because with so much going on with the storyline with Charlie Andrews and everything, this dude had a lot going on in the background.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. So the segment at the beginning of the episode, they did a big montage with the big musical score and everything else like that. I loved that segment, by the way, which I didn't mention at the beginning of this whole thing.
It was good.
I loved that segment. But it all ends with Josh Levin pointing at Midoriyama and calling out the fact that he was going to beat it. And I was like, oh, they're totally televising this to us. He is totally taking down stage 4 this year.
I still thought it was Najee.
Well, you were closer than me. But yeah. So that was really surprising. And then we joined Daniel Gill mid-run.
See, I liked this, though.
Yeah, do more of that. We know these people. Just get them running the course. Let's go.
And not just that. I mean, damn, dude. We were talking about people pegged for stage 3.
Yep.
Thoroughly shocked that Daniel Gill didn't make it to stage 3. Thoroughly.
This is what the greatest thing about ANW is. No one is a given. No one. We learned anything this episode.
No one's safe.
No one is safe. No one is a given and to make it at any stage through this whole thing. It's just a total crapshoot every year.
It was shocking though. He his other arm like slipped out and he almost did a backflip onto that. I mean, just the way he fell and just everything involved. I mean, I don't know. I didn't expect that from Daniel Gill because we've seen him be on obstacles like this before where he does really good in transitions and holding his body up.
Yeah, Daniel cruises through this course like he's walking down the street. Like, he doesn't look like he's having any trouble at all, and then goes out on the wing nuts. Like, I thought he had it. Like, he couldn't have looked more comfortable. He couldn't have looked more at ease through that course, and he ended up falling. Like, I just really didn't see that coming at all.
Mm-hmm. But next up, I got to talk, and I don't know how you feel, but next up was very much the low point in this episode for me. And I have to say, I felt bad because this entire season, it was kind of like a joke. I was like having fun with it, like, oh, Allyssa Beird, you know, the shorts and everything. But I wasn't actually trying to be negative. It's just fun because, like, I'm really happy for how much she accomplished this season.
Yeah.
The video that they did for Allyssa Beird, it's hard to describe, but I've never seen such a step back in promoting somebody so much. Everything about this was so manufactured and fake, and I do not blame Allyssa Beird in the slightest. It was very clear to me that she probably did not have any say in this video, but this was really, really just awkward and weird and bad and cringeworthy. Like, out of nowhere, there's this, like, blood red classroom and everything. Yeah, like, it looked straight out of a horror film. I don't know what they were going for, but it failed in every single way.
Yeah, I didn't know what to make of it. And then just before we recorded, we were getting some tweets from people very excited to hear what you would have to say about Allyssa Beird's segment. So...
Dude, it sucks. I really didn't want to do that because I was just having fun this whole season. I don't have anything against Allyssa Beird at all. No. I'm really a fan of hers. But yeah, I'm like a huge fan, and I've been so much a fan of all the female ninjas. But this was so bad. Like, really, really bad.
It could have been a cute segment. I can see what they were trying to do. I mean, like, having a video with her kids where they do, like, a little music video type thing, and they're like,
were these her kids, though? I don't even know. These, like, everything about this was so fake. They could have been actors.
Yeah.
This was so bad.
It was bad. It was bad. Like you said, it's no disrespect to Allyssa, and I know James listens, so I'm sorry, James. We're not getting down on Allyssa at all. Phenomenal athlete. Love her to death.
Dude. And seriously, I really want to hear the backstory of how this video was made. Because I can't, for the life of me, think that Allyssa Beird had much to do with this. I really think it was NBC trying to hype, she's the only female ninja to make it to stage 2. They wanted to hype her up and build her on this pedestal to the fact of Jesse Graff and everybody else. And she deserves it, like, so wholeheartedly. But what's the number one thing about American Ninja Warrior, y'all? It's the authenticity of being, like, the everyday person. And Allyssa Beird has the biggest story of it. She's a freaking teacher, a 5th grade teacher. Just, interview some of her students. Talk about how good she is. If you want to show her doing some cool stuff around the classroom, actually show it being in real life. But this is just, like, what I was seeing on the screen is just, like, some pre-manufactured, like, crap that you see in a commercial, but even worse so because it's so schmoozy with the music and everything, and it was so fake. Like, it took me so out of this episode. I've never seen anything like this in American Ninja Warrior. Like, this is beyond even the cases where they try to hype up Casey Catanzaro, dude. This was such fakeness. And when I say that, once again, not about Allyssa Beird, it's the editing of how they did it. I blame everybody involved with the editing of this video. And I really feel bad for Allyssa Beird because I have a feeling she's probably getting the brunt of whatever criticism there is, and she doesn't deserve that in the slightest.
Nope. And I have a cure for you, actually. So I don't know if you've had a chance to listen to this, Bijan, but Rob has a podcast, did an interview with James and Allyssa just a couple weeks ago, or just last week.
Definitely go out to listen to that, y'all. It was cool.
It's really, really good. It's really entertaining. You get a lot of background. Allyssa is like, how do I say this? Like, she's so even keel going through the course. A lot of nerves and things like that can get to people. I get the impression she is like a beast when it comes to these courses, right? She can just...
Dude, we've seen it.
Well, we know she
is like next level.
We know her talent, and I guess I didn't know where her mind was as she was going through it, but I really feel like Taryn and Lita did a good job of kind of getting behind that. You know what I mean? Like getting, so she's going through the course and she's not really thinking that much about the course. She's not really as focused on it as you would think. It's just like any other course. She gets more nervous for local competitions, she said, than she gets for Vegas. She thinks Vegas is fun. Like, that's a great mindset to have.
That's the right way to do it, honestly, because it's so easy to be blinded by the lights and everything going on of, getting all that nervousness. So I'm really glad to hear that, she's able to calm those nerves. In many ways, you saw it. She looked very calm on this course.
Yeah. As soon as she said it, I was like, I can see that. I totally saw that in her stage 1 run and in stage 2. She did them going out at the top of crisscross salmon ladder. But there's no reason to think she can't go further. She was a little surprised herself as that she went out there. She's pretty comfortable in the salmon ladder.
We saw it, man. She was beast moding that salmon ladder until she fell. I mean, she did great. And I'm really happy to see another female ninja on stage 2. I definitely think from here on out, we're going to see at least one. And I can't not think of a reason why we won't see like 3 next season. The way Allyssa Beird attacks this course and the strength and the athleticism we see from her, not to mention the fact that she trains with one of the top ninjas in James McGrath. I mean, she has everything going for her to make it to stage 3 and further and beyond. And I'm just really excited for her. Hopefully next year we get to see her being promoted the right way. And I really think that she has a huge potential to make such a dent in so many people's lives. I mean, you want to talk about the fact that so many students and kids watch American Ninja Warrior. How crazy is it to see that the top female ninja this year was a freaking teacher, dude? Like, how many kids can relate to that? They see a teacher on a regular basis in their lives, and they can make that connection. She has such a foundation to be one of the biggest stars in the entire sport. And I just really hope they promote her the correct way, because she deserves it.
Well said. So after her run, we actually had a few more fast awards. We had Dave Kavanaugh, who went out on the Wave Runner, Grant Clinton out on the second wingnut, Carson Voiles out on the second wingnut, and then Flip Rodriguez got fast awarded. Was
crazy.
What?
I get it. At this point, it's going to be like, I can't complain the whole time about people being fast forwarded, but Flip Rodriguez, man. Now, have we seen a lot of him this season?
I don't feel like we have. I mean,
I think he might be like one of those Ryan Stratus things. Y'all,
well, he got a little more than that.
In our awards this season, we're going to have a category of like, I don't know what we're going to call like Ghost Ninja or something, but the person that's been like skipped the most. And I think Flip might have to be in there because, I don't know, last year, the storyline that Flip Rodriguez had, y'all, everybody wants to see Flip Rodriguez. It's crazy how much we haven't seen him this season. Just saying.
Yeah, it's hard to tell sometimes because we're so used to seeing them. Like, we expect everybody to be featured, which isn't reasonable, I guess. But he went out on the dismount of the wingnut too. It
sucks, man.
Yeah,
that sucks. I feel like live seeing all these ninjas tackle that wingnut alley must have been very, very entertaining and engrossing. And they could have built up that for this episode, but the way the episode was paced by just going like breakneck speed, you didn't really get that feel so much for how daunting of an obstacle Wingnut Alley is. Like, yeah, we got some of it, but when you see like 30 people fail at that, that's when, it really becomes a big deal watching somebody get through it.
You know what? I think it was Flip's run that made me realize there is a very peculiar danger to the Wingnut Alley. So on the transition from the third to the fourth wingnut, I think it was his run where I thought if they didn't catch that fourth wingnut, like if they did the flip off of it, like if their hand slipped, wouldn't they go into the crowd or off the course? Like, it doesn't seem like that's overly safe there.
Never thought about that. It makes sense, but I never noticed if they don't catch it, like how far of a gap there is. If there's like a pad or something there.
Maybe it's not as close as it looks. Maybe it's just angles, but yeah, that doesn't look safe the more I looked at that third to fourth transition. So if anyone was there can kind of clarify that, because that just looks a little dangerous to me, because I think it was him that he swung up so high. I thought, geez, if he does a backflip off there, he's going to end up on somebody's lap.
Yeah, rewatching it, there is a pad behind it, but it's very small. So, I don't know.
But next to the course was someone I had very high hopes for this season, Joe Moravsky.
Woo woo.
Last year, it was his first stage 2 fall, and his little segment was talking about how he wants to show his kids the value of not giving up. I think his run show a lot of things. Not giving up is definitely one of them, but, excelling at everything you do is probably even a bigger one. The guy's crazy good.
Yeah.
He was able to beat the wave runner this year, which is great. I loved his little cousin. I don't think I've seen her before. I didn't notice her before yelling at from the sidelines. She was great. And Joe ended up beating the whole stage 2, making it look smooth and easy as he always does. I was very, very, very happy to see him go through.
Yeah, I love seeing this excitement that we're getting from these ninjas, because the way he was tacking those wall flips also, like, you already know you completed the course and you just got all this excitement, and he's just like throwing it down, being like, yes. And I don't know, you share that excitement with them in that moment, and it's so cool to see. Not just that, at this point, he's the third person to complete stage 2, and I was really, really excited for that, because I feel like getting 3 to 7 people is like the good, like that perfect area of competitors to see on stage 3. And I was just really excited for him. Also, as the fact that he's the only like veteran ninja at this point that's completed stage 2 in this season. So I don't know, overall just excited for him. And if there's anybody that's at the top of the sport that's not named Drew Drechsel, it's Joe Moravsky. And I feel like this past year, he kind of got overshadowed by Drew, and I'm really glad he can just like reclaim that top spot.
Yeah, how can it be denied? 4 to 5 years he's been on including his first season. Dude's been in stage 3. His one slip up, his one time that he didn't quite do as well as he hoped, he got to stage 2. Like, how ridiculous of a friggin' track record is that?
Mm-hmm.
And then at that point, I'm going, where are my other guys? Like, I've got a couple more guys that I'm dying to see how they did. And then they do the fast forward and, the whole segment.
This part was rough.
Let's
Here we go.
Here we go. Fast
Lay down on us, bro.
Nicholas Coolidge goes out on the salmon ladder. The salmon ladder. Kill me.
I mean, I don't know. I've been boosting him up like this whole season. Nicholas Coolidge, how are you getting skipped? But he fails at the first rung of the salmon ladder. I don't blame them for skipping this particular run. Still shame for the rest of the season, but that sucks.
Yeah, and then David Campbell went out on the third wing nut, and Thomas Stillings went out on the second wing nut. It's like this whole segment just made me die a little inside.
This whole thing, shame. Crazy.
Hated it. I wanted them all to go on to stage 3, and then it just left me with one person left.
I really like the fact that even in failing, Thomas Stillings still showed off his personality and his excitement and energy. I mean, that guy's just really fun to watch, and I still feel like he's going to be one of the most entertaining ninjas in the upcoming years.
Oh, yeah. Like him and there's so many of them that are really good, and he's right in that top 10, right? Like he's right in there.
But he's one of those people that definitely knows how to perform for the camera. There are some ninjas that are just there to like compete. And then there are some that are like, no, I get it. It's a TV show, and I'm going to be entertaining. And this guy gets it.
Yep. And speaking of that entertainment, super skilled ninja all-in-one package, we had Drew Drechsel take the course next.
Here we go, bro. Here we go.
Whew, strap in for this one.
Come on, y'all. Everybody knew, like, going into this. It's like, Drew's got this, right? Drew's got this. He holds the record for the flying shelf grab. Like, this guy is primed to know how to do the wingnut alley.
I don't know. I was bouncing between them, but I was totally fooled. I gotta say, in the end, yeah, I didn't see this coming.
That played into the storyline. What was the number one thing he was saying? Everybody thinks I'm just gonna beat the show. Everybody's like, you got this already, and all this stuff. And it's playing with him. I mean, I'm I'm just as guilty as everybody else. And and don't lie, y'all. Everybody at home, y'all knew going into this that he had it.
Yeah, I mean, really, they seem to be building the story up that same way that they did, Jeff Britton to some extent and Isaac. It just seemed like, I forget who it was. I feel like it was Jesse Graff, maybe. One of the ninjas said, like, we're quoting Jeff Britton as saying, like, I don't know why Drew hasn't beat it every year, basically.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much how most people feel. Like, Drew is absolutely has all the skills he needs to beat this whole thing. He just got to put it all together in one night.
Yeah. In many ways, this particular run invokes a lot of what we saw in Joe Moravsky last season, where it was just this freak accident where it shocked everybody. I don't think we're going to see him failing at stage 2 for a long, long time. I think he's going to, in many ways, sometimes you need that dump of just expectations, and I think he's going to get that from this season. So long term, I actually think hopefully this might have been a good thing where he doesn't have to have that pressure on him.
I don't know how much you can relieve that pressure from him, because he's just so good. He's just at that level that you just need. He's gonna
be upset at himself. Yeah.
Yeah, but I just mean, like, everyone. It's not going to change people's perceptions of him. As soon as he takes the course, everyone's just waiting for him to do it. Same with last year, right? Even though he didn't complete stage 3, it's like, well, he's got it next year. Like, he just never will feel like.
That's a good point.
He can't do it.
Yeah.
Because he can.
I mean, next year, I'm just going to go in the same way. Yeah. It's like, oh, yeah, he's got it. Of course, it's Drew Drechsel. So that's a good point.
There is no, I don't know the stats, but I'm going to guess that, again, going back to ANW Fantasy, is there anybody that didn't pick him for their team? That'd be crazy if they didn't. Everyone had him.
As you said, it's crazy if you don't.
Yeah.
But, I can't blame for how he went out. It's just one of those things where it's like, he got injured, man. And when you're on a sport like this where it's so dangerous and things can happen, what can you do?
Yeah, my heart was pounding in my chest as he was running, because I wasn't sure how it was going to go. I was anxious for him. I just wanted him to beat it. I just think he deserves it. He's worked so hard. And he missed the dismount on the wing nuts. And hurt his arm in the process, I guess. So he talked about it a little bit afterwards, and it makes sense that he can jump so far. He can lache so far. And people get into his head. They're like, it's a lot further than you think. It's a lot further than you think. So he was overcompensating. And most people might have to do that. With him, he could land on his feet on the things. Like, he's so good at that. So I think the headphones need to stay in the whole time he's there, maybe. I don't know what the cure is.
Yeah, you saw in the slow-mo in the replays, this guy shot, and his body, he was basically hitting his torso on the wing nuts. He way shot it, and I understand why. If you're hearing everybody saying they're way farther than you think, you're going to throw your body at it. And it's just one of those things. More so for me, though, I hate seeing ninjas get injured. It doesn't seem like he got hurt, but the way he was holding it, his arm going out of that, I was really scared, because you just don't want to see that, especially at one of the top ninjas in the sport. I don't know about you, bro, but Christine Leahy, she was trying so hard to get some drama. I don't know if we needed that. I was watching with my girlfriend, and my girlfriend was screaming at, why do you keep doing I don't know. It's just Christine Leahy was so hardcore trying to be like, but you're disappointed, right? Oh, this must be the worst moment of your life, right? And Drew's like, come on, bro. Come on.
Yeah. Christine was on, man, I'm throwing all the shout outs to other podcasts here, but she was on After Buzz TV, I think, early in the season. And I gained a lot of respect for her in that interview. And she talks about having to go up to the ninjas when they're disappointed like that. And I get that it's a hard job, and I get that sometimes she's going to come across as being callous.
I don't think she was callous. I just knew that it was like, oh, man,
it was too much.
You're laying it on thick.
She was laying it on very thick.
But I get it. It's your job. Yeah, I wholeheartedly get it.
Now, she's the one that's got to go up and tell them, I'm sorry, you were on the bubble, and that run just knocked you out, right? She's got to be the bearer of bad news, and she's got to do all this hard stuff. But this was, with the whole Drew thing, just not a good scene. But I actually want to mention here, so I didn't notice at first, it wasn't until after the episode that I realized 2 runs from fan favorite ninjas that they feature frequently were completely skipped. And that was JJ Woods and Kevin Bull weren't even mentioned in this whole segment.
That's crazy.
But what's weird,
they weren't even fast forwarded, huh? Now I think about it.
No, you don't hear anything. And all they had to do was say, hey, by the way, which I think was the goal, is to say, Hey, by the way, if you want to see JJ Woods and Kevin Bulls run, check them out on our channel. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Throw a little shout out to your own stinking channel so we know it's there to go check it out. But I did find them. They are linked in the show notes. You can find them on our website, ninjapodcast.com. So we're going to talk about JJ Woods and Kevin Bulls runs here before we move on to stage 3. Maybe I kind of overhyped that a little bit. Yeah.
It's like, you go ahead if you want.
So just so that everybody knows how they did, I don't actually have a whole lot to add about how they actually did. They both ended up going out in the second wing nut. If you were wondering what happened to them, Kevin ended up whacking his chin on it in the process, which looked pretty painful and not like a pleasant experience.
Looked rough.
But
no, y'all, he hit his face on that thing.
It wasn't a slight bump. He really whacked it pretty good. But yeah, they both went out on the wing nuts just like most of the field in this episode. So yeah, if you're wondering where they are on YouTube. So now we got stage 3. As we have 3 people moving on to stage 3. We have Joe Moravsky, Najee Richardson, and Sean Bryan, as just about everybody predicted, right?
I mean, if you guessed all 3 of those guys making it to stage 3, props to you. Huge props.
Nobody did. Even with 5 choices, no one picked those 3. I had 2 of the 3, as did a few other people, obviously. But I give a quick shout out to Alex Crumland, who was in 262nd place in AW Fantasy for being the only person I can see that picked Sean Bryan for his team. So good for you, Alex, for figuring out that Sean Bryan was someone to watch. But moving on to stage 3, we take a look at the course here itself. We had the floating boards, which they keep making higher and crazier and harder. Like they weren't bad enough to begin with.
It's a nice beginning obstacle. I like its placement here.
Yeah, and into the key lock hang. Yeah, that's all right, I guess.
It's cool. I mean, you dangle there for a while. It drains your forearms. It's cool. Yeah. These are all build-ups, so I'm fine with it so far.
Then the nail clipper, which, that's all right, I guess.
I think the nail clipper took out so much field in the qualifiers that they wanted it here. I just don't think at this point at stage 3 it was needed. It was one of those, I get it. You want to test things out. You want to have new things. But I think if there's something that they're gonna not have next season, it's probably the nail clipper, because they got through that way too easily.
I don't know that it's easy or that
it's not easy, but it's if you're the caliber of athlete to get to stage 3, something like the nail clipper isn't going to take you out.
I just think visually it's just awkward looking and not very exciting.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. There's other good ones.
I would rather watch the Ultimate Cliffhanger, right? I mean, it's a staple of stage 3. It's fun to watch.
Well, we've got that still.
Yep, which was what was next, followed by the curved body prop, which is also pretty cool.
Well, first of all, still that Ultimate Cliffhanger, insane. Just, I don't know if they changed it up or if they had this last year, but the fact that you have to do, go upwards, right? Yeah. And then you have to do a 180 in the air, then do another transition to the side, and then another 180. This obstacle has evolved so much over the past few years to the point where it's you get through that, I don't even know how. So props to anybody that can. That's some crazy stuff.
Yeah, I think it's the same as last year, but it doesn't mean it doesn't make it any easier. It is still a very difficult obstacle. And then we have the curved body prop, which is a cool obstacle. I like that it tests something a little bit different. So that's cool.
So this is the key, though, with the next few obstacles that Rich is about to say. There's no resting pads between them at all.
Right. Which definitely played a big part in this.
Yeah, this is a big thing. Because going in, watching these, I didn't think it was as bad until I realized there's no brakes.
The Peg Cloud, awkward name and kind of a strange, awkward obstacle.
It's weird. It's weird. They didn't describe it all that well, so I'm glad at least visually we got to see it, because I got a much better understanding of what it is when we actually got to see how it was done.
I don't know. It's okay, I guess. It's like a weird version of a pegboard with a bunch of hanging things you stick the pegs into. I don't know. It's okay.
Honestly, though, it's whatever, but I like it a whole lot more than just an upside down rock climbing wall.
Yeah, hang climb's always been kind of a weird little thing. This would be kind of the equivalent of what was it called? The UFO alley or something. I don't know. They call everything alleys, and
Yeah, something like that.
I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of the peg cloud. It's okay. It was kind of interesting to watch Joe do it, I guess. I think with a few more, it's always hard to judge when there's only one person that does it. I think we need a few more on it to really make a good, solid judgment.
Mm-hmm.
And then we had the time bomb, and
what a crazy obstacle. I mean, this time bomb, dude, just looking at it when they first announced it, I thought it was like, this is a joke of an obstacle, whatever. I didn't realize that there's these tiny little things, these little peg hooks that you have to like independently move to each hook. I thought like the hooks all had them. So I was pleasantly surprised with this obstacle. That said, I'm really curious to see how people think about this because it's so detailed and you have to be so perfect with your motions. I can see a lot of people hating this thing.
yeah, it definitely looked complicated and difficult, but at the same time, I think they need to change up the hooks, or not the hooks, the actual bombs that he's using, because when Joe was doing it, he wasn't using the bombs as I think they were intended. He was just grabbing the ring.
I don't blame him.
Yeah, why would you?
Yeah, I don't blame him.
Why would you grab those things? It'd be nuts to grab those things.
Yeah.
So I think they need to change those up a bit so you have to use the bombs to get through it. But I think they should have a little bit of a resting spot there, something they can hook their legs onto. I don't know about that.
Got to be intuitive like Joe Moravsky. He was able to
kind of figure
it out.
Get some rest through there. And then finish with the flying bar, which unfortunately we didn't get to see this episode.
But that's the thing. This is the crazy part. At this point, you've got three obstacles leading into the flying bar that all like drains you, especially your arms and your grip. Without rest, you go straight into the flying bar, which if you guys remember, takes out so many competitors because it's so much wear on your grip. I mean, all of this build to the flying bar, it's going to be really hard for people to complete all that, and I like that fact.
I don't think there's anything more exciting than watching people attempting the flying bar with worn out arms. We saw Jeff Britton do one of the most fantastic runs we've ever seen anyone do, discounting even the Mount, stage 4, conquering the whole thing. His stage 3 run was so exciting. But I felt the same way about watching like Ian Dory come so close and Bryan Arnold come so close. Like the flying bar is a fantastic way to end the season off.
Mm-hmm. It is, but I really don't have much to complain. And let's just get into it.
Yeah, let's talk about the actual runs here. So first to take the course was Sean Bryan, who was looking very calm and measured on the key lock. Looked really nice on the nail clipper. Just no complaints. I was like, geez, how far is he going to go? He looks like he's a veteran on here. And he ended up going out on the cliffhanger, reaching for the top of the whole thing. But a good, solid first attempt.
Yeah, and we regularly see this where people's first attempt on the ultimate cliffhanger, they traditionally fail at it. It's just one of those obstacles where you can train for it at home all you want, but doing the real thing for the first time is a whole nother factor. And I don't blame him. He's gone out where many people have gone out before.
Yeah, it's very familiar place to be going. Next to take the course was Najee Richardson, who
brought some excitement to this run. I'll tell you that.
A little exciting when he fell on the key lock hang and managed to save himself by grabbing the pad.
Whoo! I thought it was done. I see him fall, and I'm like, ah!
I think he caused a lot of screaming across multiple countries at that point. Watching at home were losing their minds because it looked like he fell on that dismount, and little exciting. Woke me up for sure.
I'm sure. Glad that pad wasn't closer to that water.
He did end up going out on the ultimate cliffhanger. He had made it across, but he couldn't quite get across the shorter gap on the other side, so he just peeled off doing the transition.
Yeah. I can see this guy doing the ultimate cliffhanger next year. Just the way he trains and his background with gymnastics, this guy definitely has the athleticism to get through that.
Yeah, I really, as much as I had Najee near the top, before the season started, even more so now. He is definitely right at the top of the whole thing.
Oh yeah.
And the last person to take the course, once again, Joe Moravsky, in stage 3, his home turf. Guy just lives here.
If there's ever a run that's going to define a ninja, it's going to be this run in Joe Moravsky. I cannot speak to how magnificent he looked in this run. This run just perfectly describes everything that is so good with this competitor and what we've seen pretty much a maturation over the past few years in him coming into his own dynamic, attacking this course. The way he found different nuggets and ways to rest in situations where most humans wouldn't even think of doing it that way.
Yeah, Joe is a tactician, right? The way he tackles the course is just, I think if you could describe it as cerebral before, which I think is a good way to describe it, he finds a way, and he finds the most efficient way through. So it's a masterclass in tackling these courses, and we all get to watch it. He took breaks upside down. He locked his legs around his arms at points and around the pegs. He kept trying to find places to rest where he could, but he ended up going on the time bombs. Just an unbelievable effort. Joe just showed why he is the top, or in the top 3. Let's be a little credible here. So let's say
top 2,
top
man.
2.
I mean,
is there anybody
other than him and Drew?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't see anybody that joins. They are such high level. I mean, Adam Rayl is knocking on that door, but he's not there yet. And these guys definitely are showing why with their approach to these courses. Joe Moravsky is so scientific, and as you said, cerebral with his approach to it. The way he was able to find out ways to rest different body parts on the peg cloud. I mean, just I couldn't believe what I was watching. It's so good. I just imagine if he got through that flying bar. I mean, this guy would have been a legend in this sport. Well, he really is at this point, but just next level, right? And I mean, first of all, I mean, no shock to anybody. Joe Moravsky, you're tied for athletically profound run of the night. Heartily congratulations, but not just that. I mean, this might be the run of your career. People will be talking about this for years.
Well, until he beats stage 4 next year, anyway.
That. Cosign.
So, that was it for this season. Wow.
What a crazy season. I mean, ups and downs, and more importantly than everything else, completely unpredictable. I mean, just... I don't know. That's one cool thing about this sport is that it's not the same names. It's not the same, like you can't just write these down and be like, oh, this is what's going to happen. I mean, you're always going to get new names and new shockers. Jesse Graff failing on the cargo net, didn't see that coming.
Yeah, you have no idea what's going to happen. It is a great sport, a great show. We love it. We're glad that you've tuned in to watch it with us. And we hope you'll continue with us, I have to say. So a lot of people tune in while the show is on the air, but we have a lot of fun in the off season, and I don't want to discount that. I'm hoping some of you will stick around. We have always find things to talk about. There's always tons of ninja activities and other OCR shows and things. For those that didn't watch Ultimate Beastmaster, that was a lot of fun to cover. So to wrap up the season, we had an idea, and that idea was to have an award show to represent all the fans out there and our appreciation for the ninjas for all they've done this season. And we've teamed up with Rob Has a Podcast, that is Taryn and Lita, and Travis McClure from ANW Fantasy to put together the Ninja Awards, or whatever other name you want to come up with for it.
I like Ninja Awards. We'll stick that with that.
We'll just call it the Ninja Awards for now, and that might end up being the final one. We'll see. So next week we'll be announcing all of the categories and the nominees, and then the following week we will be recording with Rob Has a Podcast and ANW Fantasy. We will have all 5 of us on to present the awards for the season. It's going to be a lot of fun. I hope you'll all tune in. So if you'd like to send in your picks for runs or ninjas that you want to make sure we don't miss, you can send those to me at rich@ninjapodcast.com. I am at Ninja Podcast on both Instagram and Twitter. And Bijan, how can they reach you?
Hit me up at Twitter and Instagram at Bijan151. That is Bijan 151. I'm super psyched for the Ninja Awards. I think this is going to be really fun. Not only to discuss like our favorite moments of the season, but to also reward the hard work that these ninjas have done over the past year. I mean, this is really going to be an awesome, awesome thing.
All right, thank you all for listening, and I hope you have a fantastic week.
Peace and love, y'all. ANW10, let's go!